Good morning, my garden friends. This morning it is July 5th, and we're going to take a little walk around the Secret Cottage Garden again. I'm trying to do these weekly, if you haven't noticed, because it does change so much within a week that if I did them just monthly, then there's a lot that would be missed. So this helps me keep track of things. Like if I want to change something next year, I can go back, review the videos when this is all dormant and know where things are at, when they bloom, what maybe I want to include or take out or move. So that's why they're so frequent. And so I hope you enjoy getting the updates as often as you do. We're going to start over by the studio and make the usual cruise around the garden. The hostas are all doing fantastic. Mine are in pots because I didn't know exactly if I've read that gophers really love to eat the roots, so I didn't want them to be eaten, so they're in these pots here. But I may go ahead and put them in the ground and risk it and see, because I love them here, and this is a good shady spot. I have a new shady spot over by my patio, studio patio, and I may divide and put some over there too, or just buy some new ones. But I'm loving these. Love, love, love them. I don't have very many shady spots in my garden, so it's just a treat to have. Now right here, I'm starting to pull out all of the volunteer larkspur and whatever, because I'm going to start putting my pathway in and make the garden a little tidier, less wild, but still full of blooms. And you know, I've been really surprised that the hay rack really hasn't, the petunias haven't really grown faster. I was hoping they would. I do keep this well watered. I'm not sure why. These same petunias in other containers have done great, so I don't know what the deal is. So I'll feed them again and we'll see what happens with that. I do keep it well watered. Like I said, I was thinking of putting a drip in there for more consistency, but I don't see how that would keep it any moister than I'm keep doing it now. But it's always a lesson to learn. Down here is the Eryngiums that I had, sorry about that, potted up last February, March, because they were bare root that I got at a store. And now I've got them in the ground. A couple of them really went into shock because of the heat we've had, and one is really taken off. But the other two are coming in. So those sea hollies should be really, really pretty there. And I have high hopes for them. Behind them is the obelisk. Well, it is an obelisk now, but it was a tomato cage turned upside down. The sweet peas there are hanging in there, but they haven't really liked this extra hot heat, even though I've been trying to keep them well watered. Let's get an update. I'm going to show you, get up closer to my moss heart, and I've been really, really pleased. Look at that. It's really filling in. I put this little caladium in a pot there to see. I think the white contrasting with that. So I'm going to put that caladium in a little bit better pot. It's in its nursery container, and put it there. I'm going to clear out some of the other stuff, and I have gravel to put around my moss heart, and I think that will be really accent it well, rather than all the weedy kind of growth there. But I am super pleased. I love the Scotch moss color. It's that chartreuse green. And once that's really filled in, I know that's just going to be a showstopper. Now let's scooch this direction. And my echinaceas that I started in place in seed are coming up just fine. These are white swan. Here's one of the Eryngiums. I don't know if it's in the camera for you when I was touching it. But over here is the white swan that I had taken root divisions of, or from, and this is one of the divisions. And it's going to bloom really pretty. And I think having a bunch of right here that blooms a little bit later when many other things in the garden are starting to fade away is going to be really nice. So I have Verbena bonariensis back there, right here. Try not to step on anything right here, but I'm not sure I want it here. I have a salvia down there that got broke off that should fill in. And these hollyhocks, this is the double, the pink one, or not, or what is it called, Peaches and Dreams, like the one over in the corner. I'm pretty sure that's the same one. And they're getting ready to bloom, and I will get you close up to the other one pretty quick. But those are super, super pretty and just getting ready to bloom. They bloom a little later over on this side. It gets a little more shade here, so the bloom is a little delayed compared. Look at that clematis climbing my tool shed. Let me get you a little more level. Yeah, there. So I keep training it. I have wires. Let me scoot around here. Disturbing the bumblebees on all the plants, but I keep training it up, the wires, so it keeps going up here. I need to maybe put another screw here and then put some more wires, and then it can climb all the way up. This one, let me see if it's got any buds yet. I don't see any buds, but the sweet peas I planted down here in my direct sowing sweet pea video are doing great. I think they get a little more shade here, so they're doing better than the ones over there. Plus they were direct sown. Mine that are direct sown always do a little bit better than the ones I start in pots and put out. And that's probably because our climate, in spring, it could stay cold, 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 and then all of a sudden turn hot. So they don't have a time to acclimate the potted ones very well, whereas the ones grown in the soil directly already have those deep roots and are able to take up moisture better. So I'm going to point you down. This is my Jupiter's beard. Look at how gorgeous that is. It's right in the path that I need to put in. And I'm not sure what I want to do. I guess I can just tough it out, dig it up, replant it somewhere else, just cut it back and see. It probably would rebloom this year. Just wouldn't be as big, and it's beautiful, but that's okay. I guess it's worth it just to get it so I can get my pathways done. But I've been enjoying it. The bumblebees enjoy it. And it's also called valerian. And there's another Latin name that I never can remember, but it's a toughie, and it does great in drought conditions, dry soil, etc. So it's perfect for California, where we're experiencing a severe drought. I moved my pot right here of roses as far over as I can. That's a heavy pot because it was right in the pathway for a while. And that thing is not found a home yet, but look at that beautiful rose. I'll take you up close. I will in a minute, but let's not get distracted. I get going too fast here. Down here, make sure I'm wide out, here's my Princess Alexandra of Kent Rose still in the container, but look at how rich that color is. It kind of fades as it matures, but this thing is just full of buds. I've been using a new to me liquid organic fertilizer, and I will share that soon. And it really seems to be doing the job as far as getting my roses to stay very healthy, even in containers where, when you water it, the nutrients get washed out really easy. So feeding it liquid fertilizer like this, especially this one, because it's pre-digested, so the plants don't have to do anything. They can just take it up. So it seems to be doing the job. There is my centerpiece. And I'm going to cut the violas back. They have been doing really great, even though I'm going to cut the violas back, even though they've been doing pretty good in this heat wave. But I've been noticing signs of spider mites, and spider mites get on plants that are stressed, and I don't want them to get over onto the petunias, which they may. I may need to spray all of that, but I'm going to cut the violas back, and then the petunias can fill in better. And then if the spider mites don't kill them, if I keep on top of it, their violas will come back in the fall, or should. We'll see. So It's kind of hard to walk around because my paths are kind of blocked right now where I'm putting them, but slowly but surely I'm going to get them all done. There's so many other things I need to get done that it's hard to stay focused on one thing. The Delphiniums, the pink and white, the pink ones that came up, I don't remember having them last year. I'm going to have to look at my video, but they're just gorgeous. I need to tie them up better, but we'll get over there in a moment. I think I'll move up there. I'm trying to find the easiest path. Before we head over there, I wanted to show you this sweet pea has been just crazy. I picked a full bouquet off of this morning. I had picked some for bouquets that I made over the weekend for friends, and it's still just so full. I cannot believe this sweet pea is just going crazy. Maybe there's more than one down there, but it's been a true goer, and I'm letting some go to seed. Let me see if I can show you the seed down here, seed pod, so you know what it looks like. But right here, this one, I'm letting this one go to seed, and then these ones down here, I'm letting go to seed so that I can collect seeds of this one and make sure I have it again for next year. This one was planted last fall, overwintered, and it seems to have loved it. So this is a winner in my garden. It's not as heavily scented as High Scent, which is it's a pretty white with lavender edging. And I actually don't have any going right now. I need to plant some seeds. They still will take if I keep them shaded and a little bit cooler. And then once they sprout, they will just take off like crazy. So you can see I've been working on my path down here. This is alfalfa straw. I planted some cuttings, some boxwood cuttings along the edge of my middle piece, centerpiece there, and that because I want to have boxwood growing all the way around it. I think that would be perfect green accent when there's nothing blooming and going on in the garden, and so it'll be a pretty evergreen element. So that's just one thing I've been working on. Now let's go around over there to the Delphiniums I was talking about earlier. Aren't these just gorgeous? I just love that pretty pink. It's totally different than the one that's over by the arbor, the rose arbor. And I thought those were pretty pink, but this one is just really lovely. And here's, let me see if I can get scooched back in here. Here's a lavender one. This is the one that was so thick last year right here. And for some reason this year, it didn't do as well. So I may move that one this fall and see how that works. Let me see, these white ones are going through there, but look at that pink. Isn't that gorgeous? And I have two different white ones in here. See, this one has the black bee, and then that one over there is just green. It has a white bee. Here it's going to seed. This one, oh no, something burrowed into the stem. I wonder what that is. I'll have to look that up. It's a perfect little hole right there. But this one, I think I'll collect the seeds before I cut it back. Or maybe I can cut that back and then collect seeds from the other one. Sometimes if you cut them back, when they've 75% have bloomed, then they'll send up another shoot if you have a long enough season. So I may get it another bloom. They'd just be shorter. So I may go ahead and do that and see if I can get a secondary bloom rather than worrying about collecting seeds. But those are just so, so pretty. I wanted you to see this beautiful rose. This is grandmother's hat. This is a vintage rose. It's a beautiful bright pink. Beautiful pink there. The only downside of this is the roses don't hold onto the plant for very long. They'll bloom and then fade away, probably within a day. I'll check this evening and see if it's fallen. But there's plenty of other buds on it, and it's in this big pot along with its companion, Olivia Austin Rose. I think they call Olivia Rose Austin Rose, but anyways, this one, it does hold. It's a lighter pink, but it does hold its roses a bit longer. The sun's coming through the trees, but they are just as beautiful. So I always keep these well fed because there's 2 in this container, and roses are hungry plants. Right behind it, if you can see that glow, is the purple Rooster Monarda. I love that. This thing just, it runs, meaning it just sends underground runners and comes up in many spots. I dig it up and I give it away to friends. I love it. I don't mind that about it because it's not very deeply rooted, so it's very easy to dig up where I don't want it and place it in other areas where I do, and or compost it. So just thought you would enjoy seeing that. Plus the bees love it. Absolutely love it, and butterflies too. Now here is that hollyhock I was telling you about, that those other ones were going to bloom like. Beautiful. It's facing the other direction. The ones that were facing this direction have bloomed out and are about to, I'm going to collect seeds and see if I can get these to come true, because I have other hollyhocks in here that they've probably cross-pollinated, and it may affect what comes from the seeds, but I could still try. Oh, I see one I can show you. Just a moment. Do you see that one back there? The sun's kind of hopefully not bleaching it out, but such a pretty fluffy thing. I have a good picture I'm going to put up for you of it, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful hollyhock. I have it tied up. Everything wants to lean towards me, which is behind the camera, because of the way the sun comes over the trees and into the garden. Now, even though I'm in zone 8A, because of the tall evergreens that surround my property, and I only get so much sun, that my garden is blooming much later than people in lower zones. And so your zone doesn't determine your garden or your growth season. Other factors really play a part. And so that's why my flowers, many of them, may be behind people in other areas. The dahlias down here in my grow box, this little box I built for them, are doing great. The one beside them in the ground, and let me see if you can see that. Let me point it out. Reach around here. Right here. Here's some more purple Rooster Monarda, but right here, see, this one's getting ready to bloom. The one I put in the ground loved it even better than the ones in the box. So I'm hoping the gophers, hopefully I've eradicated the one in this area, and it won't eat it. But I was taking a chance putting it in the ground. But I have like 4 or 5 more still in their pots. I got to get planted, and I'm thinking I'm just going to risk it and plant them in the ground. This area over here seems to be a really good area for them. So let me move you back. Right there is where the tub of lettuce was. I'm going to remove that, I think, and I may put some more dahlias right in here, in front of the purple Rooster Monarda, and hopefully they will take off, and I can keep an eye out for the gophers. I'm going to thin out some of these iris here. They need thinning, so that won't be a big deal, and I'll leave some for next year in there, but it will work great. Here's my Hyde Hall rose. It's still doing pretty. It's blooming. It's got fresh buds on it. And look at our Delphiniums. This is the pretty, pretty blue. They're about 50% bloomed. I think I will try to cut these back at 70% and see if I get a rebloom. And I'm trying to think of something. There's a bare spot right down here. I'm to find something in a pot to place there, because when the Delphiniums aren't blooming, this is kind of a little bit bare. So I want something on the fence to kind of block the view through it. Down here along the path, everything's doing great. My little petunias I planted, little 6-pack all along here, is doing great. My echinaceas are beginning to come up. Let me see, here's the echinacea. And I think I'm going to put you on a gimbal so I can really get you close up to some plants. So here we are back along this section, and you can see the larkspur are doing just beautifully. The bees are busy. They love all of these flowers. I'm enjoying the pink larkspur tremendously with a little white bee center. Look at that, bumblebees going to town. They love them. I have a black-eyed Susan in there. I didn't want yellow in the garden, so I usually have been pulling them out, but it is what it is. Now that it's growing, I may just enjoy it there. So down here is a daisy getting ready to open up. And this is some cosmos, or a cosmos. I don't remember putting this here, but I could have sprinkled some seeds, hoping they would take, and it's doing its thing. Here is my solar fountain. It's just squirting a little bit here and there till the sun really comes over. I am going to do a video on how I clean these, because some people, I've been getting questions on how I get rid of the algae. Now mine isn't green algae. I get a kind of a red. So you see how it's kind of red in there? So I will do that maybe today. We will see how the day goes. All this larkspur is volunteer. I didn't really want it here because I wanted to be able to walk up to this bench, but my cats want to get the birds that come down to drink, so it effectively blocks them. So I've been leaving it. And here's that Echinacea getting ready to bloom along here. Now everything, you see how it's leaning towards me, or this direction? That's because it's leaning really towards the sun. Here is some poppies that reseeded themselves, and I've just let them go because the bees have absolutely been enjoying them. They're the first things they go to. Down here is some bachelor buttons, pink ones, really pretty. I think I shared this before, and I told you the story of how these were just absolutely, the seeds had gotten covered with some kind of waxy, oily thing, and I didn't think they would take, so I just threw them out here taking a chance, and sure enough, they bloomed. They came up. Look at my Colette rose is starting to bloom. Can't wait till it finishes climbing up. And here is this other pink delphinium. They're a completely different pink. They're more of a light lavender. You would think pink until you put them next to the other ones, and then all of a sudden you realize they're not a true pink. Oh, and I have a pink poppy down here. This is a volunteer. Many things I just let fill in. You see how crammed everything is? And what that does is it prevents weeds. And look here, my Aglaia daisies. It's also nicknamed Shaggy Maggie. Aren't those just so fuzzy? You just want to reach out and touch them. And here is one from one of my Crazy Daisy mixes. Look how these are short, little short stubby petals. So different from the others. I will share some of the others pretty quick, but here is an Echinacea back in here, a pretty light one. And they're getting pretty tall. I don't know if they're reaching for the sun, but pretty tall. Now here are the foxgloves that are finishing up, and the lower ones have got seed pods on them. I'll let those go to seed, and then I'll pull this up. I'll let them spread here, and then they'll come back. And there is a volunteer delphinium, and it's a white one. I don't remember putting it there. I may have, but I don't remember. And it's just very, very different. It's green. It's got green stripes on the white petals. So, okay, and here is the delphinium. This is pagan purple, and it's getting ready to burst open. This thing is the richest purple ever, and it just is gorgeous when it blooms. So I'm assuming it's either the variety, or because of where this is located, it gets a little bit later sun, that it is later than the others. But I'll let you view the other side behind me. I put some sweet peas down here. They're finally taken off. I try to keep that weeded. And I've just planted some more things along the edging, shorter growing things. And there's one of my petunias. And more daisies along here. I should have thinned these out. You don't realize how thick they're going to get, but there's many things in this bed and they're kind of shading it. There's a delphinium I planted down there. All of these larkspur, whoops, let me get that mosquito out of my face, need to come out. So I will be busy doing that soon because there's a lot of shorter growing things in here that I want to shine and they're being blocked. Like right here, this one is kind of blocking my salvia down there. That's a pretty little salvia. And some Gara, pretty pink Gara in there, real airy. I did seed some cosmos, but I don't see any of them coming up. Sometimes they take a little while. They'll surprise you later. But this is where I dug up all that Scotch moss, and even this little patch is still doing good that I had left. I probably will dig this up, and I think I'll do another moss heart, just because that one I'm just enjoying it so much. This is a boxwood I'm going to put on the corner of each. I'm going to have one on this side, and I have one on this side of this pathway that I am working on. And it'll be a little more evident once I remove these larkspur of what I'm trying to accomplish here. But this is the other side of that sweet pea we viewed earlier. So along here, I'm going to be removing this larkspur too. And I'm going to be trimming back all of this sedum. This sedum is going nuts in here. It just loves it right there. But it needs to be contained and tamed just a touch. And here's my favorite sedum. I think it's called Cherry Parfait, but I'm not sure. But it just has that beautiful little purple on the green. And it's very well behaved. It doesn't take over, but it does, if you transplant it, it will root very well. I got mosquitoes after my camera like crazy. You would not believe. I'm wondering where I have water sitting that they could be breeding. I mean, all my tubs and stuff I have mosquito bits in, so I know it's not in there, and I check them daily. But here's the centerpiece. And I wanted you to see the, again, boxwoods I started by just sticking some cuttings in the ground. Down here, they're coming along. I need to weed along here. I did start over the weekend. Flowers from my garden. You would not believe that I got 26 bouquets from my gardens. And you would think I didn't touch a thing in here. That's just how full and lush everything is, because it doesn't miss a beat. Over this has been like my prize plant this year. I got this at Annie's Annuals. Erin at Impatient Gardens had it and displayed it in her garden last summer, I think it was, and I loved it. And I thought, oh, I wanted one. I tried to find seeds, and I couldn't find the seeds in stock anywhere. So it must be very popular. But it's an Echinacea, and it's called Lime something. I think I have the tag down there somewhere. But this thing just doesn't stop. It's bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. I've had to create a support for it. I'm going to do a video on how I create these supports. They just fade into the garden. You can't hardly see them when they're in place, but they do a great job of supporting the plants that start to flop for whatever reason if they're getting too lush. Now my little orb there I made with wine barrel staves, not staves, but what is it? Anyways, the wine barrel rings, that's what it is. It got squished in that big snow, but down there I want it to grow up through it is this hardy geranium. And it was obscured by a lot of plants. I just now dug those out, and it's hopefully going to let it get going, get the sun it needs. And once I remove these, it'll do even better. So it was getting crowded out. I have a Verbena bonariensis in here. I'm not sure I'm going to leave it in here. I have a annual phlox down here. I really want that thing to get going. It's creme brulee, and I think it's a little too shady for it. It needs a little more sun. So I may clip back my the Echinacea a little bit. But there's that bed. I wanted to show you really quick how my little planter turned out. I planted these up in the greenhouse for you, and I don't think I ever finished the video, but these are wave petunias and some alyssum. The alyssum was some that came back from last year for me, and I've just placed it in different planters. But these colander hanging baskets I got at Tractor Supply, and I've just really enjoyed them. I was going to put them out on the studio, but I left them right here where I walk by them every morning as I come out to my poor little dilapidated greenhouse, which it still hasn't been repaired. I've contacted a contractor and he came out, took a look, but I haven't heard back from him yet. So, and there's the other one. This one had this sedum in the top that I just really like. It just fills in so pretty. I think I'm going to take root cuttings of it or divide it and then put that in other things. I just think that is really pretty green. So I left that one in there. I didn't put a petunia in top because I just love that sedum too. Okay, there's an update on those. So let's head on into the potager veggie garden. And I'm going to show you what's going on. Oh, I have a cosmos. This is a volunteer. I had a bunch of cosmos here last year, and this came up. And look at this dill. Isn't this dill gorgeous? And when you brush by it, that's all you smell. So I haven't so far seen any of the butterfly larvae on here, but I'm hoping, because I've had a lot of swallowtail butterflies. So over here is this butterfly bush. I think this is a lavender one. I think the one over by the greenhouse I planted is the white one. But it's coming along. It's in this pot because I didn't know where I wanted to put it. It's not quite as big as the other one. They both were the same size. I think this one gets less sun. So here is, oh, here's that white delphinium from the other side that I said had such interesting green on the petals. Can you see that? Look at that right there. The bees are loving it. And here is the Sentimental Rose. That thing is just massive in that pot. Gets lots of feed and it's got buds all over it. So that'll be blooming pretty again. Down here is my strawberry bed. That is doing wonderfully. I had thought of maybe placing some zinnia seeds in here just for the fun of it to see how they would do. But I still got strawberries coming on. So I'm going to give this a good feed and water. I planted some dahlias in this. This one I snapped it off and look, it's regrowing some more. You can hear my chickies over there. They're saying, we want food. So I need to get over there and feed them. But here's one of my tomatoes. Back behind here, you can't see it, is a tomato. It's got, oh, maybe you can see it down in there. You see the little yellow tomato? I don't think you can see it. But anyways, there's, it's called Gold Nugget. And boy, they are sure tasty. They put sun gold to shame 10 times over for sure. This is hyacinth bean vine. I'm hoping it'll climb up this obelisk here and be super pretty. It's doing well. Here is a nursery bed. I put some catmint seeds in here and I'm hoping they will take off. I gave them a border so I knew where they should be. And it was an experiment because every time I started them inside, they would sprout and then die. I have no idea why. My tomatoes here, and I was going to do the Florida weave, but I found this piece of remesh, stuck it in the ground, and I'm just weaving them in and out of that, and they seem to be doing fantastic. So I didn't have to do the strings and all of that. Probably they will get too tall, but once they're taller, I will run string from the top of the arbor down and finish tying them up to that. Some garden twine. And down here's a bunch of volunteer morning glories. But over here I planted some sunflower seeds. I'm hoping they come up. I've got still more volunteer morning glories. So many morning glories were here last year and previous years, and they just keep sprouting. I just pull them up. They're super easy. I put some sunflowers in here too, just in case. The gophers last year ate a bunch of the seeds that I planted, so I'm hoping that in this planter, if they get these over here, then these ones will come up. and alongside here and along here, down here, I planted zinnias. So I have basil growing over here and a volunteer cosmos. I need to get a stake to tie that up. It's starting to obscure my other basil. But I planted a ton of green beans in here and only 2 have come up. I'm thinking they might have been old seeds. These little miniature, not miniature, they're small, the zucchinis, they're just supposed to be for containers. I thought I would give them a try. They're supposed to come and fruit very quickly. There's one there, and then this one over here, and then one down at the base of my other tomatoes. I forgot to point that out. But back here is another tomato. I need to tie it up to the obelisk. Back there behind this lettuce that's bolting that's the climbing zucchini, Trombolina. Used to be called zucchetta, now they call it Trombolina. My lettuce is all starting to get where it's getting ready to bolt. I'm going to plant some more seeds down here. And I'm still collecting leaves. The leaves, as long as you take the leaf off the vein, it's not bitter. So we're still eating on that. We have had tons of salads from that bed of lettuce. And as I said, I want to plant some more. My cucumbers, these are the baby cucumbers. My chickens are fussing over there. And I have planted cilantro in there. The other cilantro I had was delicious. We ate it already. Nasturtiums, those are a great companion plant because they draw in the good bugs. And I have alyssum too, also. So some alyssum here, but this here I planted zinnias, if I didn't mention that one already. Now over here is my blueberries I have in this container. And they're doing much better. I had them in a fabric pot and that did not work. Fabric pots do not work for me at all. I know others have had success, but they just didn't do diddly. And my plants suffered that were in them. And this is one of my favorite tomatoes. This is Camp Joy. It's an heirloom. It's about the size of a ping pong ball. Not quite a cherry, but not as big as a slicing tomato. But it's not growing as fast as the others, and I think it gets a little too much shade here, but I'm going to leave it. And on this side, look, this is those Delphiniums, but look, there's one of my Monarda. That's one of the red ones. So pretty, but those Delphiniums are just doing fantastic. So that is our garden tour this morning. I don't think I left anything out, but I'll include it or pop it in here if I need to. So I hope you'll join me in my next video and we'll tour something else or have some other garden project to share.